I found this desk for $12.99 at Value Village. You may be wondering what I see in this painted disaster of a desk. Well, keep watching to find out. I've been searching for a desk that I could flip into a pair of nightstands, so when my husband showed me this one at the thrift store, I knew it would be perfect. We immediately took it home and started disassembling it. We flipped it on its back to remove the legs so that when we took off the top of the desk, they wouldn't fall over. Then we put it back upright and started removing the screws to the top. As we continued to take this desk apart, I was starting to see the vision come together. I then moved them to the garage and started removing all the hardware. The paint on this desk was so thick that the handles felt like they were glued on. Then I removed the drawers and began applying paint stripper. I knew I was going to be painting these nightstands, but I still wanted to remove all the thick old white paint to start with a clean base for my paint to adhere to. I then moved on to applying the stripper to all the drawers. After letting the paint stripper work for about an hour, this is how we were looking. I knew this was about to be very satisfying. Once everything was stripped, I gave it all a scrub down with soapy water to neutralize the stripper. Then I began sanding down what was left of the old finish with 120 grit sandpaper. I then moved on to sanding all of the drawers. There was a lot of overspray from the last owner's paint job, so I made sure to remove as much of that as I could while sanding. Once it was all sanded, I could still see some white paint in the wood grain, so I gave it a quick scrub with a brass bristle brush and some acetone. Now it was time to mix up some Bondo to fill in these holes where the desk was connected. While that dried, I decided to go ahead and get to working on the drawers. First I wiped off the sanding dust, and then I mixed up a paint wash to apply to the drawers. I brushed on the tan paint wash and then wiped it off in the direction of the wood grain before it could dry. I repeated these steps on each drawer. Once those were complete, I gave the same finish to the 8 new legs that I picked up from Lowe's. I gave all the drawers a light hand sanding with 220 grit sandpaper to smooth out any fibers that got raised while paint washing before painting the inside of the inlaid handles with the same color that I'm going to be painting these nightstands. Then we cut and screwed in 2 new tops for these pieces. And I filled in any imperfections with wood filler before sanding it smooth to prep for painting. After sanding the Bondo repair smooth, I removed any sanding dust with some water in a paper towel and then taped off any areas that I didn't want painted. And then I began applying my first coat of paint. Once that coat was dry, I had an idea. I took it outside, sanding everything by hand with 220 grit sandpaper, blew out any dust, and then wiped them down with a damp towel so I could spray the next coat with my paint sprayer, way quicker than using a brush. So I got the rest of my paint and put it into the spray gun. See those chunks? That's why you need to use a strainer. Then I added some top coat as well for a 2-in-1 effect. After mixing that all in together, it was ready to go. Once that was dry, I gave both pieces a light scuff sand again and sprayed on the final coat. Then I took the same top coat and used a sponge to apply it to all the fronts of the drawers. Then, using a small brush, I top coated the handle inlays. At this point, the handles were still covered in thick white paint, so I put them in a pot of boiling water for 25 minutes until the paint was literally falling off these handles. Now it was time to put on the new legs. All that was left was a few final touches. First, I conditioned the drawers to make them look and smell like new, and then we worked on quickly fixing this tippy drawer by gluing a piece of wood to the underside of the tops of the nightstands. And now, they're all done. Can you believe this adorable pair of nightstands was once a big ugly desk? I listed them on Facebook Marketplace and they sold almost immediately for $400. So we loaded them up and sold them. Thanks so much for watching, and make sure to like this video if you want to see more like it, and subscribe for more transformations.